Thanksgiving weekend, of course, we've got our live hurricane coverage out of Florida. Winter weather continues for some of us out west, and rounds of rain for the BC coast. It's going to certainly be a wet one. But an update on Hurricane Matthew's impacts. It has not made landfall in Florida yet. Whether it does or not, it's still going to have huge impacts along the shoreline. It is just 40 miles southeast of Cape Canaveral at this point. We're going to see storm surge 2.2 to 3.5 meters high. We've got up to 400 millimeters of rain. So people, of course, have been evacuating the area. Our field team is on the ground today. We've got a bunch of people giving us updates. Here's an update from last night. We'll also check in with Chris St. Clair, who's going to be in Fort Lauderdale for today, and see what the situation is there. But you can see Mark in, what looks to be hurricane force winds. The outer band started pushing the strong winds and rain in through yesterday. Our top three videos, though, let's switch gears and take you to a winter wonderland. We are going to go to northern Manitoba, where winter storm warnings were in play for you yesterday, and you had the result of just a mid-January day. Number two, Matthew batters the Bahamas. That for the island's history. It also had made landfall in Haiti and Cuba, so it has been a menace along its path. And number one, storm hunters out of this area. It's a Category 3 hurricane at this point. It did strengthen to a 4 last night, but Category 3 is where it's sitting at right now, but a strong Category 3. Current conditions, Calgary sitting around the freezing mark. Toronto still a mild 15 for you today. And as we head into your long weekend, this rain is going to move through Ontario and make its way east into the Maritime provinces. We'll have more details on that Thanksgiving forecast for you coming up. But right now, check out your local forecast. So things fairly quiet across most of the country. I mean, there was a big snow event this week in the prairies down towards Florida following Hurricane Matthew. Oh, this guy's showing us what snow pants looks like, because I forgot what they look like and where they are in my house. The snow has started to taper off for parts of Saskatchewan. Northern Manitoba last night was dealing with the big brunt of it. 40 centimeters in extreme northern Manitoba. Thompson picked up 21, so it really depended on where you were. Through parts of southern Ontario, we are seeing some rain showers move through for the weekend, and then that's going to push into the Maritime provinces Saturday into your Sunday, and eventually Newfoundland too. Not expecting any rainfall warnings with this, however, but just one day of rain is expected on your long weekend. Let's talk more about the snow this week in the prairies. All right, so that is Mark Robinson in Florida getting ready for Hurricane Matthew. So even though it's not made landfall, you can see it is strong, folks. And we've got a Category 3 hurricane. It's moving towards Florida. Right now, it's 64 kilometers southeast of Cape Canaveral. So they're just waiting for its approach. Let's get an update now from Jacqueline Whittle, who's been in Florida this week. All right, that was Mark Robinson in Florida. We'll have more updates out of Florida with Chris St. Clair and Nathan Coleman joining us coming up throughout the morning show. Weather here at home. It is messy, but of course, we are thankful that we see the sunshine, but then this front comes through and it not only brings rain, it's going to change up our temperatures. So it's been mild this week. That's going to change. Behind it, we get those northwesterly winds. That looks to be a bit of lake effect showers setting up over the Great Lakes. Around Calgary, we could see under 5 centimeters of that wet, slushy snow for your morning commute. Let's add this story in too for the West Coast. Wind warnings in place. Okay, let's get into the good stuff here. We've got your long weekend forecast. Take in all of that nice summery weather before this comes in, and it will cool down your temperatures, getting us closer to seasonal. Newfoundland, your rain is a Sunday into the Monday forecast. And a quick look at the temperature story here. Well, fall returns, as you can see here. All right, thanks for that update, Chris. Nicole Karkic and Chris Murphy with you here on this Friday. One of our top stories, live, of course, hurricane coverage from Matthew.
Yeah, winter weather continues in parts of the prairies. While one storm's easing off, another one will be coming in. We'll let you know who could be impacted by that. And, of course, the Thanksgiving weekend forecast.
That's right. Matthew information right now from the last update, which was issued from the National Hurricane Center, is 64 kilometers southeast of Cape Canaveral. It's still a Category 3 hurricane, a strong Category 3 hurricane, and it's moving towards the coast. Regardless if it makes landfall or not, we're looking at hurricane force winds, storm surge, heavy amounts of rain in this vicinity right here. So this is the last 3 hours. Lightning strikes, of course, off shore. There's been tornado warnings as well along the shorelines because of this. So as we get a closer look, there's that very well-defined eye in the hurricane. The northeast quadrant of hurricanes tend to get the strongest winds, so that's going to be pushing up towards parts of Georgia and eventually South Carolina. So a couple of the numbers here: storm surge 2 to 3.5 meters, up to 400 millimeters of rain or more. Our field teams have been on the ground. You saw Chris St. Clair giving us an update. We'll also get updates from Jacqueline Whittle and Mark Robinson as well. Our story here at home, not as severe, but for the long weekend, you want to know when rain is coming. And for the Maritime provinces, tomorrow is your day. Get out, walk off all the calories you need to before you eat a lot of food. 5 to 10 millimeters through parts of the Maritimes, and a little bit more for the Avalon Peninsula, which comes Sunday through to your Monday. For the Maritimes, this comes Saturday night. Ontario is seeing some showers, picking up a little bit of blue on the radar. That's probably just some cold rain. Showers towards Timmins, Kapuskasing, the Nickel Belt, Greater Toronto area. This will be rain for you tonight into your Saturday morning. Things do clear out. But the bigger story from Ontario towards the east is your temperature drop compared to this week. We're getting closer to seasonal, if not below. You'll see that in your local forecast coming up. Stay with us. Here's the story heading into our Thanksgiving weekend. On Saturday afternoon, we got a high of 9 in St. John's and above average 22 with sunny skies in Halifax. Your rain comes Saturday through the evening hours. Montreal, a wet Saturday for you. Things clearing out in Toronto. Calgary, just 3 degrees on the heels of seeing snow for your Friday morning commute. So things just aren't warming up in parts of the prairies. Vancouver, a wet, windy weekend for you. Possibly some rainfall warnings too in parts of the province. And Calgary, 3 degrees on your Thanksgiving Monday. Thanks for joining us. I'm Nicole Karkic alongside Chris Murphy. Well, it's time now for Share Your Weather. All right, and Chris, you put this photo together, so
yes,
explain.
It is. I'm calling it The Incredible Fall. Now, look at that. Do you remember the show, The Incredible Hulk?
I do.
We're talking Bill...
Vaguely, because I'm so young.
Yeah, I know. Bill Bixby and Lou Ferrigno. Well, there's Dr. David Banner. There's the Beast.
Right.
And I think that really does sum up what's been going on.
Absolutely.
So far. Well, let's start off then first with a look at today, and I think we can really
can see what's going on. Yeah, because
yes.
looking spectacular.
Yes.
Ottawa 23 this afternoon. I mean,
Yeah.
if you told me these temperatures were the middle of or the late summer,
Yes.
I believe you.
Bill Bixby, Lou Ferrigno. Okay.
Or Jekyll and Hyde.
There you are. Now, let's talk about the weekend, because that's a big deal we got coming up for you. So,
Cooler air coming in, Chris. We are going to be back to seasonal, if not below. I mean, Halifax on Monday at 13 is below average. It's all due to this front. So it's
Yes.
bringing some rain showers through northern Ontario, cottage country today, eventually the Greater Toronto region tonight. Notice how it's heading east, as most systems do, into Ottawa and Montreal through Saturday. Montreal is 5 to 10 millimeters. And then here's the Maritime provinces.
that's right. And we're only talking about maybe 10 to 20 millimeters of rain, especially for the Avalon Peninsula. That would be Sunday. There'll be some unsettled weather Sunday and Monday for parts. All that snow, Nicole.
Oh my goodness. So he's showing us what it looks like. It's pretty high, and he's also reminding me that I don't know where my snow pants are or my winter
Yes.
boots, but you probably found them in parts of the prairies. This is our snow. Then we've got some snow here for Alberta, Chris.
Yeah, some of that's going to be this morning, and then another system coming in for the weekend. Now, we see the rain heavy at times this morning with winds for the BC coast. There'll be another round tomorrow. There's the system. So most of the action on the north side of the low, and then a bit of upsloping will continue to keep that snow Sunday into Monday. So we'll be watching places like Calgary, Canmore, Lethbridge, Pincher Creek.
Wow. So coming up, you'll take a look at your local forecast, which gets you through the Thanksgiving weekend, followed by Force of Nature and our long ranger into next week. So the storm from the latest update, Matthew, Category 3 hurricane, is southeast of Cape Canaveral, has not made landfall yet, but we are waiting for that. Nicole Karkic and Michelle Mackey with you here this morning.
This is a powerful storm, potentially the most powerful hurricane to ever hit the central coast of Florida. So, of course, we do have our teams mobilized. One of the major threats is going to be storm surge.
So that's the story there. Our story completely different. I mean, we're fairly quiet, Ontario due east. There is some rain moving into parts of northern Ontario, North Bay.
Rainfall amounts for the Carolinas.
That's right. And as we look at rainfall for you in the Maritime provinces, enjoy today and tomorrow because they're pretty spectacular. I mean, to see 20s, mid-20s, it's probably one of the last times we'll get that before we head into deep fall and winter.
The colors are beginning to turn as well. It's really quite beautiful. But back to Ontario, there's that cold front that's moving through into the north.
Okay, so Michelle, that front's not only bringing rain, but dropping our temperatures.
Yeah, that's perhaps the bigger story, at least for southern Ontario. With only about 1 to 3 millimeters expected, it's all about the cool down in its wake. The winds will shift direction, and those temperatures fall back to seasonal for your Saturday, and then by the time we get to Sunday, below seasonal.
That's right. So you have better eating weather, in my opinion.
I completely agree.
Toronto's sitting at 15 degrees on Monday. You feel more cozy. You want to pack on more of that food.
Okay, I'm totally in line with you on that one, Nicole. Right now we have your local forecast. 3 minutes away, we take a trip around the world in 60 seconds.
Thanks for the update, Chris. What we know is it's still a Category 3 hurricane,
Yes.
has not made landfall yet, but it's getting close. Regardless, this is a big story.
Over 100,000 are without power. Cape Canaveral recently reporting a wind gust of 164 kilometers an hour, and this storm is crawling up the coast, so we'll be talking all about this.
All right, and we take as well as the storm approaches the region. Storm surge is always a big part of what causes deaths and destruction with hurricanes, and the storm surge for this is going to be up to 3.5 meters, 400 millimeters of rain potentially, and the northeast quadrant of hurricanes are generally where we see some of the strongest winds, so that is in line for parts of northern Florida and Georgia. Cape Canaveral is where Jacqueline and Mark will be. We've got Chris and Nathan in Fort Lauderdale, but notice clear conditions. They've been dealing with much calmer weather there as the storm has moved north. How can you send us your photos or videos or see more of our weather in terms of the photos and videos that people are sending? We've got a Twitter account. We also have our Facebook accounts as well. Our current conditions across the country, well, we're looking at Calgary at -1. You're expecting to see snow through the morning commute. Winnipeg's 2 degrees, Halifax 10, Toronto sitting at 14 degrees there, and Ottawa's 8 degrees. For your Thanksgiving weekend, there is rain moving through the Maritime provinces through Saturday and through Sunday into Monday, 10 to 20 millimeters for St. John's.
Rapids, which is much smaller than Thompson, 60 centimeters of snow. That's coming towards the Rockies, the foothills. You mentioned Calgary, a little taste today, more coming Sunday, Monday. Wind warnings in place for Metro Vancouver and Victoria.
Thanks for the update, Chris. So as we look at what's going on with Matthew on the satellite and radar, you can see, as Chris mentioned, eyewall not making landfall at this point. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. Regardless, we're looking at very powerful conditions. Cape Canaveral has reported a wind gust at 170 kilometers an hour, and that is crazy. Category 3 storm there. As we move to our stories here at home for Thanksgiving weekend, showers. We're tracking that through the Maritime provinces. Saturday night through to your Sunday, then it moves into Newfoundland. Before that, you've got some really awesome weather for today and tomorrow if you want to get outside and go for a nice walk. Southern Ontario showers tonight into the start of your Saturday, then you start to clear out. But everyone who's seeing rain today in Ontario due east is going to cool down as that front passes. For BC, we've got wind warnings in place for Metro Vancouver, parts of the coast, and we've got steady rains for you this weekend. Time now for it's snowing somewhere. Thanks for the update, Chris. Time now for your local forecast. Then in 3 minutes from right now, we'll learn more about what hurricane hunters do as they fly into the eye of the storm. Happy Friday. Glad you could join us. Lots to talk about this morning. We'll have updates on Hurricane Matthew, our Thanksgiving forecast story. I'm Nicole Karkic alongside Michelle Mackey.
Great to be here with you. It is Friday, October the 7th. We have Nitish outside now. Nitish, I heard a rumor you're on the hunt for some fall colors.
Thanks, Nitish. I forecast he's going to take off a jacket this afternoon. We've got some mild temperatures in southern Ontario ahead of this front. Behind it, though, Michelle, popping up on that.
Ethan, it's going to bring them back to seasonal for your Thanksgiving long weekend. So enjoy the heat today. Humidex values going to be in the upper 20s.
Yeah, and then by contrast, today's a cold for you in the prairies. I mean, interest there for parts of the foothills of Alberta. Meanwhile, there is a wind warning in place for BC.
Yeah, a pretty powerful fall system. Not only are we dealing with very gusty conditions, but also quite a bit of rain.
That's right. Time now for your Long Ranger. Okay, so this front in Ontario through today. North Bay, Sudbury showers, then Cottage Country, eventually the Greater Toronto Region, Ottawa, Montreal. It's a wet Saturday for you, and then it moves into the Maritimes.
Interesting note about this cold front, it is actually going to interact with Hurricane Matthew further to the south, and that is going to bring some elevated rainfall amounts to parts of the Carolinas.
That's right. It's all sort of interacting together, and that's why Matthew's been taking an interesting track. Then we look here at Newfoundland. Sunday into Monday is when you'll see the showers, general 10 to 20 millimeters of rain. But this front is a game changer for temperatures. At 13 on Monday, that's actually below average.
That's pretty chilly, but you know what? The good news is, at least for Ontario and Quebec, sunshine. You can enjoy those beautiful fall colors right now, no matter where you live. Your local forecast.
Thanks, Chris, for that update. Nicole Karkic and Chris Murphy with you here. Heard the wind gust out of Cape Canaveral was up to 172 kilometers an hour.
The hurricane force winds extend from the center about 90-95 kilometers. This storm is within about 60 kilometers of Cape Canaveral. So they are certainly experiencing those hurricane force winds. The tropical storm force winds stretch out another 300 K. So you don't have to be right near that eyewall to experience the strong winds and obviously the rain and the storm surge.
So, of course, we're talking about Matthew. Also, winter weather continues for our viewers in the prairies and our long weekend forecast as well. But a quick look here at Florida. Again, if the eyewall hits or not, it's still an impactful storm. Category 3 at this point. It was a 4, got downgraded to a 3, but still a powerful 3. Last 3 hours, anything in the white here, that's the lightning strikes offshore. We've had tornado warnings up and down the coast of Florida as well. Where Chris, St. Clair is, which is in Fort Lauderdale, is south of where the activity is. Even Miami got spared being hit too hard with this. But the northeast side of the storm in a hurricane is going to have your strongest winds. So that's pushing up to northern Florida as it moves on shore and parts of southern Georgia as well. The impacts, we've got the storm surge up to 3.5 meters, 400 millimeters of rain, and hurricane conditions extending to South Carolina. Our field team on the ground, got Chris St. Clair and Nathan Averill. As we look at weather.
That's 2 feet. That's all winding down. Next system to watch coming in this weekend. Powerful winds.
So between the east and the west of Canada, we've got winter versus almost end of summer. Coming up, your local forecast plus the hurricane eyewall. It's flat. Thanks for joining us. Nicole Karkic and Michelle Mackey with you here. That was an update from Mark Robinson in Florida. Storm surge.
Winds are also going to be really damaging. I mean, you saw Mark outside. When we're talking about a Category 3 hurricane, sustained winds certainly possible to be over 100 kilometers an hour. And Cape Canaveral did report a wind gust of 172 kilometers an hour.
Now, in just talking to Dr. Doug Gillum, one of our meteorologists here at the Weather Network, he said it's looking more and more like it's going to stay and hug the coast, the eye. So it's not going to make that direct landfall, but still looking at hurricane force winds and the whole bit. We have a different story.
It's Nitish right now. Nitish, oh, I can see some beautiful fall colors. You know, it really highlights you as well. I like this.
Thank you. I know.
Okay, so after you see rain in Ontario, Quebec, and the east. All right, thanks for the update, Chris. Towards Cape Canaveral, we're seeing some of the strongest winds in Florida. Still a Category 3. Whether or not it'll make landfall, we're still trying to find out.
If there's any saving grace about this, number one, it's moving northwards at 20 kilometers per hour as opposed to, say, if it was 2 or 4 kilometers an hour. So that would just unload insane amounts of rain. And it looks like it has been staying just offshore as opposed to right on the shore, which would mean that would put the dangerous eye wall right along it too.
All right, and we take a look here at tide, also tornado warnings too. You can get those with hurricanes. Our live field coverage, of course, we've got Chris St. Clair in Fort Lauderdale. They've been moving north though, and Cape Canaveral with Jacqueline and Mark. So they're where some of the strongest winds are at this point, at this hour. Currently at this hour in Toronto, you're 14 degrees, so still a mild start again. We're starting to see rain though around North Bay, Sudbury, up towards northwestern Ontario too through the day. Calgary -1. So when moisture moves into Calgary for that morning commute, a light dusting of snow. Saskatoon -1 for you. And for the Maritime provinces, this is a rainfall forecast starting Saturday evening into your Sunday. Not a terrible amount, about 5 to 10 millimeters through parts of Nova Scotia, PEI, and New Brunswick, 10 to 20 for the Avalon. Now, the rain that you see in Ontario, Quebec, and the Maritime provinces this weekend is going to change your temperatures. It's going to cool you down closer to seasonal, if not above. But note, there's a chance of thunderstorms in parts of northern Ontario for today. Meanwhile, as we move towards the west, we've got snow to talk about. So a different story there. It's certainly been a big story this week with parts of Saskatchewan picking up over 40 centimeters of snow. This is our forecast through to your Thanksgiving weekend. Take time now for your local forecast. Stay with us for Matthew updates as well.
Guys.
Crazy stuff. So Cape Canaveral seeing some of the strongest winds that are being recorded. So upwards of 170 kilometers an hour. So that's about 100 miles per hour. The eyewall, will it make landfall or not? Looking more likely that it won't. It looks like it's just going to hug the coast and just keep riding up towards Georgia as well as South Carolina, but still bringing hurricane force winds and the whole bit. Our story here at home, let's talk about the weekend. Rain moves in for Saturday night through the Maritime provinces, extends into Newfoundland Sunday through to Monday. So everyone from Ontario due east, we'll get a rain day and we'll get some sunny days too. So you just got to deal with one day of rain. Southern Ontario, it's Friday night into your Saturday morning. For Ottawa, it looks to be maybe Saturday morning. Montreal looks like Saturday through the afternoon, 5 to 10 millimeters. Much more steady rains here for BC. We even have a wind warning in place for Metro Vancouver. Some strong easterly winds for you today. And the rain, no rainfall warnings because it looks like it's going to be over an extended period of time. The winter weather, that's been your story in the prairies. Saskatoon picked up over 20 centimeters of snow this week. Extreme northern Manitoba, some areas 50 centimeters. Here's more with it snowing somewhere with Chris Murphy. All right, thanks for the update, Chris. We're going to look at your local forecast coming up in a few moments from right now, followed by Force of Nature. And in our Long Ranger, we'll look beyond the Thanksgiving weekend. And of course, more updates on Hurricane Matthew, which is close to making landfall in Florida. So we were taking you back a couple of hours when Jacqueline and Mark were waking up early this morning in the area. They are giving us updates out of that region still, where wind gusts have been up to 170 kilometers an hour. Our future radar for Matthew, Michelle, is looking like more and more that the eyewall is not going to make a direct landfall.
170 kilometers an hour, where Mark and Jacqueline are in Cape Canaveral. Plenty of hurricane warnings and evacuations for the coast.
Exactly. And the storm surge is going to be an issue up and down up towards Georgia as well as South Carolina. Our story here at home, not as active, but let's talk about the rain that's going to move through Ontario. We're already seeing it around Timmins.
To interact with Hurricane Matthew and bring elevated rainfall amounts for parts of the Carolinas.
All right, it's always all related. And for Saturday, notice this bit of green popping up around the Great Lakes. That could be some lake effect enhanced showers with those northwesterly winds, because not only are we seeing rain with that blue line, that cold front, temperatures are cooling down for the weekend.
It's the perfect setup, but not as much as we saw earlier this week. Parts of northern Manitoba, over 50 centimeters of snow.
Yeah, extreme northern Manitoba still, but Thompson 21, Saskatoon saw over 20 centimeters of snow this week too. Wind warnings in play for you in parts of BC, but now an update on your Long Ranger. So Michelle, just quickly let our viewers follow along this blue line. That's the cold front and the timing on when you'll see rain. Thanks for joining us this morning. I'm meteorologist Nicole Karkic. We're going to give you more updates this morning, live updates in Florida for Hurricane Matthew. Plus, our winter weather continues for parts of the prairies. And of course, long weekend just around the corner. As we look at the current conditions with Matthew out in the Atlantic, it looks more and more like Hurricane Matthew is not going to make landfall on Florida, but the eye is going to just hug the coast and move up towards Georgia as well as South Carolina. It's Category 3 still at this point. Winds sustained at 195 kilometers an hour. And there it is over the last 3 hours, just swirling around the region. Cape Canaveral has recorded wind gusts up to 170 kilometers an hour. So that is very strong. We're going to see a strong storm surge up and down the coast. Usually that's one of the biggest things that kills people in hurricanes is that storm surge piling up along the coast. So could get up to about 3.5 meters, 400 millimeters of rain, not out of the question. So this is going to continue to be a story as it moves through northern Florida. And as I said, Georgia too. And Georgia's of interest because when you look at hurricanes, you look at the circle, the northeast quadrant of it tends to get the strongest winds. And that's where Georgia is going to be seeing some pretty tough conditions. Our field team has been in Florida. Chris St. Clair, Nathan Coleman, Jacqueline, as well as Mark Robinson too. As we look at your weather here at home, well, we're going to talk quickly about the rain moving through parts of Atlantic Canada. Not a terrible amount, but this will be your Saturday night into Sunday for the Maritimes, Newfoundland. This is a Sunday through Monday story for you. And in Ontario, the rain, it's already starting in the north. That cold front will eventually move through southern Ontario tonight. Jacqueline and Mark joining us now in Cape Canaveral.
19 degrees in
All right,
Toronto, shaping up to be a good one. Clear skies.
Possibility they can't hear us.
Yes.
Possibility there's interaction with our camera as well as what's going on with all the transmitters getting blown out, all the power outages too. We'll continue along with our weather story here, Chris.
About 75 kilometers outside of Daytona Beach, so it's getting close. We have risk of thunderstorms today. We've seen a few from Manitoulin Island up towards Wawa. That could stretch eastwards today and across the prairies. We're still talking about some lingering snow showers. We've seen that around Regina, but everything's tapering off. But a new system currently bringing powerful winds across the Strait of Georgia. That's going to spread an area of some snow, wet snow, possibly for the morning commute in Calgary. Slushy stuff around Edmonton today, and we're not quite done into the weekend.
We certainly aren't. So bringing out the shovels in parts of the prairies once again. And as we look at what's going on in the prairies, this weekend, we want to hear from you. So if you get photos of photos on TV
Oh,
next
Kevin,
week.
you know me
and
well.
use the
I love that. I just want
snowing
to
somewhere, and we may feature you in one of our segments next week. All right, so coming up, we've got your local forecast. Another update, obviously, on Hurricane Matthew bearing down on Florida, and then Nicole and I will be back with Share Your Weather.
But right now, look at your long weekend forecast in your locals. We've got lots to cover in just over 3 minutes from right now. We're going to talk about Hurricane Matthew, your Thanksgiving weekend forecast. Nicole Karkic and Michelle Mackey with you here.
Great to have you here with us. It's Friday, October the 7th. All eyes on Hurricane Matthew, currently a Category 3, really affecting the central and northern coast of Florida. Storm surge, a huge issue.
It is. It's always a huge issue with hurricanes. It's often the deadliest part of the hurricane because you got all that water that piles up on shore. So this is.
So let's see if we can get Mark here. Oh, wow, Mark. You know, we can talk a lot about hurricanes, but when we show you what this looks like, it really hits home.
All right, thanks for that update. Mark Robinson there. That was Jacqueline Whittle periscoping or maybe Facebook living the whole event so you can follow them on social media. The forecast winds, as we mentioned, were strong. Look at the eye. It's right now not looking like it's going to make a direct landfall. We can't complain.
A really different story here at home. We have high pressure in place for much of eastern Canada and southern Ontario.
Yeah, really mild out towards the maritime provinces as well. This cold front potentially producing thunderstorms for you in northern Ontario through the day today. And the rain will eventually head east, 10 to 20 millimeters for the Avalon. But here's the thing. From Ontario due east, you'll get a rain day and then you get sunshine with cooler temperatures. So you get the best of both worlds.
And if we want to talk about cool, right now we have your local forecast and we'll continue to follow Hurricane Matthew through the hour.
Thanks for all the great updates. Chris St. Clair out in the field there. Nicole Karkic and Chris Murphy with you here in studio.
All right, well, obviously our top story is Hurricane Matthew, where it's going next. Here at home, winter weather across parts of the west. We're raining again on the west coast, so typical fall weather back in Vancouver and Victoria. And then the long weekend forecast, of course, it's Thanksgiving.
All right, but let's turn our attention to this stat that we were. Now, we haven't talked about the other hurricane that's out not making impact to land. It's actually Hurricane Nicole. So the two of them are actually feeding off each other. And then the next while, that will be an issue as we look to the track for the end of the weekend. But for now, focus on Matthew. We've got the eye just hugging the coast, not looking like it's going to make that direct hit as forecasters were saying earlier with the track, but southern Georgia as well as South Carolina, it's going to be a big story for them in the next 24 to 48 hours. Current conditions, Montreal 13, we got Winnipeg at just 2 degrees. Out towards Calgary, you're -1, so a little bit of moisture moving towards Calgary this morning, giving you some slushy wet snow on the ground that's relatively warm, so melting on contact in the city at least. Saskatoon -2 for you, and through Monday for the maritime provinces. Listen, you've got a great forecast for today and tomorrow. Temperatures in the mid-20s in some cases. Rain moves through Saturday night and then eventually Sunday into Monday, the Avalon, 10 to 20 millimeters of rain for you. The Ontario story today is the rain that's falling around Wawa, Timmins, and Sudbury too. In this zone, you can see a chance of thunderstorms. That front will cool its temperatures in its wake. Cool temperatures have already been the story out towards the prairies, and this is your snowfall forecast through Saturday. More details on your locals and Hurricane Matthew coming up. All right, thanks for the update. So they're in Florida, in Cape Canaveral, where wind gusts have been upwards of 170 kilometers an hour. Currently, Matthew, still a Category 3 hurricane. And we are seeing, as Mark said, the eye not making that direct hit, but just grazing up the coast of Florida here. Storm surge will be an issue. They're looking at a lot of rain with this, too. Our rain story, we've got a lot of things to be thankful for this weekend as we head into the Thanksgiving weekend. We aren't getting a big major storm. We're not getting a hit from Matthew in the Atlantic region. What this rain is a cold front that's moving through Ontario and Quebec, and then by Saturday into Sunday, it starts to track into the Maritimes and eventually Newfoundland. So you're not looking at rainfall warnings at this point with that rain, but we will see some cooler temperatures in the wake of it. You saw that rain passing through southern Ontario. That's beginning tonight in places like Toronto, heading into Ottawa and Montreal through Saturday. Steady rain showers through BC. Now, this is our cumulative rainfall forecast, so a heavy amount of rain for Vancouver will include a couple of days of rain plus some strong winds. We actually had some wind warnings in place, including Metro Vancouver. Snowfall warnings, they dropped through the day yesterday in parts of Saskatchewan, but northern Manitoba yesterday, you were the one dealing with a lot of snow, upwards of 40 centimeters in some cases, and Chris Murphy has more on it snowing somewhere. Chilly, so that's going to help with more snow. Saskatoon, by the way, picked up 30 centimeters of snow this week. 30. The average snowfall for Saskatoon in the month of October is generally 8 centimeters. I know it sounded a bit low to me, but certainly exceeding that. We've got snow, the additional snow here for you into Saturday, and parts of the foothills, as Chris mentioned, getting quite a bit of snow with more moisture moving in this weekend. You'll have details on your long weekend forecast right now. Thanks for joining us this morning. I'm meteorologist Nicole Karkic. It's a busy Friday. We will talk about your Thanksgiving weekend forecast, but updates on Hurricane Matthew as well. Big international news stories. And for Cape Canaveral, you can see on this future radar, it's going to be an area that's going to continue line as well. There are hurricane watches and warnings up and down Florida towards South Carolina for today. Our weather story here, Ontario due east is meters, so that certainly exceeded it. Towards Calgary, maybe some slushy wet snow for you this morning, under 5 centimeters, but towards the foothills, this is accumulating for our forecast for the accumulating snow through to Saturday. So there's going to be a few pushes of moisture, and some upsloping is going to help the snowfall totals for parts of the Rockies. Wind warnings starting to drop off in parts of BC, but north of Vancouver, it's a gusty one for you today. Time now for our Long Ranger. All right, here's the goods, your Thanksgiving weekend forecast. So this week's been warm for a lot of us. This afternoon's actually looking really warm, so too is tomorrow for the Maritimes. But then this front is going to cool you down. So it brings the rain, then behind it we get temperatures that are going to be more seasonal. The rainfall totals not looking too concerning. A general 10 millimeters of rain for parts of the Maritimes, 10 to 20 for the Avalon. You get a little bit more moisture there around that yellow dot, that yellow zone. But the temperature story is going to be a big one. Notice on Monday, Halifax, your high is 13. That's down to seasonal, if not below. Coming up, your local forecast, force of nature, plus our live hurricane coverage out of Florida as Matthew brushes the coast. Thanks for joining us this morning. Nicole Karkic and Chris Murphy with you here. Top stories, live hurricane coverage. I mean, if you've been watching anything on social media, you know that everyone's talking about this in the States.
Yes, Jacqueline Whittle has actually been left speechless over this storm.
She has lost her voice.
She lost her voice. Mark Robinson, though, is still in the belly of the beast, and he's been around the Cape Canaveral area. There he is. Mark, first of all, where exactly are you? And obviously pretty windy.
Thanks for that update, Mark. So, yes, he's in Cape Canaveral. Strong winds. There it is right there on the satellite imagery. So you can see it moving really close to the shoreline there, that eye wall rather, that really small circle. Not looking like it's going to make that direct hit, which would just be terrible, but still it is looking very bad. Winds right now sustained at 195 kilometers an hour. So yeah, still in that category 3 category. And the lightning and radar over the past 3 hours offshore. We've had tornado warnings as well up and down the coast, but notice around the south, around Miami, for example, few bands of rain showers, but it's starting to clear and move north towards Georgia and eventually South Carolina as well. Matthew's impacts, what can they be? Well, storm surge is going to be an issue. It's one of the worst things we see in terms of causing deaths with hurricanes. So up to 3.5 meters, 400 millimeters of rain. And our field team is out on the scene. As you can see, Chris St. Clair has been in parts of Florida, as well as Jacqueline and Mark too in the States. Let's get an update now from Chris St. Clair. Tell us where you are, Chris. Thanks for joining us on this Friday. Lots to talk about with Hurricane Matthew making headlines in international news. Category 3 storm still at this point. That's considered a major hurricane when it's 3 or above. That's considered major. So storm surge forecast in yellow, you can see a little bit lower than where we're seeing the eye get really close to the shoreline. So will it make an exact landfall or not? That's still up in the air, but it's looking more and more likely that it's going to just brush past the east coast of Florida, continuing up towards Georgia. Here's the thing about hurricanes. The northeast quadrant of them tend to bring the strongest winds, so that we're going to see that in northern sections of Florida through tonight into Georgia, and eventually it will move to South Carolina. So there are hurricane warnings in place, millions of Americans in those hurricane warnings because of this. Current conditions for us. Lots to be thankful here that we're not dealing with Matthew. We've got Halifax at 15 degrees at this hour. We've seen rain in northern Ontario. Robinson right now. Guys, doing a great job out there. Talk more about what you're seeing right now and the damage that you've seen as well. So we'll focus on our long range here at home for a long weekend. Let's start today. We've got rain and snow in extreme northern Ontario. North Bay seeing some showers, Sudbury too, Cottage Country getting it this afternoon. Toronto, Ottawa, the timing for this is, for Toronto specifically, looks to be tonight. Ottawa through your Saturday. Montreal, it's a wet Saturday for you. And then Saturday night for the Maritime provinces, you actually have a great day on Saturday in places like Halifax, Charlottetown too. The Avalon, you get the rain Sunday night into Monday, and actually about 10 to 20 millimeters pushes through parts of the Avalon Peninsula. Bigger story this weekend is the cooler air coming into the west and the east as well. Thanks for that update, Chris. So more coverage out of Florida with Hurricane Matthew. Our winter weather continues in the prairies and our long weekend forecast as well.
All right, so let's get back into Matthew.
Since September 10th, 1964, it's been since then that two Category 2 hurricanes have occurred simultaneously in the Atlantic basin west of 65 West. So Hurricane Nicole, Category 2. We've got Category 3 Matthew, of course. That's the bigger story because it's having the biggest impact on humans. We've got this lightning strikes for the past 3 hours offshore as well as onshore too. I'm sure storm surge is going to continue to be a big issue with this storm as well. Current conditions, 17 in Toronto, 15 in Halifax. Calgary struggling to get above the freezing mark. We've got Saskatoon at -2 here. And the story in Ontario this weekend is this cold front. It's actually started to already rain around North Bay and north of that too. Greater Toronto region tonight. And then that blue line, that's the cold front, moves towards places like Montreal through Saturday night in the Maritimes, and Newfoundland Sunday into Monday. So what's it doing? It's not only bringing rain, it's cooling temperatures in the wake of it. So whatever you're seeing now is going to really change after the rain comes. It's going to be more seasonal, more where we should be. 5 to 10 millimeters through the Maritimes and 10 to 20 through parts of Newfoundland. Coming up, we'll talk more about the snowfall through the Prairie provinces and updates on Hurricane Matthew as well. Wow, thanks for that update. So good news coming out of Florida is that, yeah, the eye is not going to make that direct hit, which a couple of forecasts have been saying it will, a couple of the tracks. So that is just moving across the shorelines and up towards Georgia and the Carolinas in the next 24 to 48 hours. It has been terrible news, though, for parts of Haiti, Bahamas, Cuba too. So that's when there was landfalls in the track of Matthew. Tropical moisture for us in the Atlantic. We're going to see rain Saturday night into Sunday for the Maritimes, and then eventually Newfoundland Sunday through your Monday. I'm not looking at copious amounts, but 10 to 20 for the Avalon. Rain tonight in southern Ontario for places like Toronto. We're already seeing it this morning, moving towards Sudbury and Cottage Country too, and out towards the west. Wind warnings have been dropped in BC, but yesterday quite a ferocious storm. The big wind storm for you in places like Vancouver brought down power lines, and the steady rain showers will continue through the weekend. It's going to be the consistent showers there. Snow, yeah, still being seen on the radar here in Saskatchewan, but you saw the big snow this week in the prairies. Chris Murphy has more on that, and it's snowing somewhere. Chilly, and let's add in some more light snow through your Saturday. So this is the forecast into the start of the weekend. Notice a little bit heavier through parts of the foothills of Alberta, helped by upsloping.